Hello and welcome to the tutorial for setting up sessions as recurring within Blackboard Collaborate Ultra. Recurring means that the session is only open during specific times on specific dates rather than an open session in which it can be accessed 24 hours a day. Once you've logged into your Blackboard Collaborate scheduler account, click on Create Session and then name your session. We suggest having you include your last name and then also the subject you teach. And the reason for this is that we do have teachers who have the same last name as others, so it will help students determine which teacher they have. After typing in your title, click Create to save your session. From here, click the Guest Access link. FCPS prohibits teachers from sharing the guest links with students. However, we are allowed to share the guest links with adults within the school. And adults that you might share these guest links with could be your administrator for observations or your instructional support team member who might be there to support you while you're teaching. So once you click Guest Access, click Save. And again, this guest link will never, ever go to students. It can only go to adults. Once you've saved your guest access link, scroll down and we'll now adjust the start and end times. Let's start by changing the start date to September 2nd. We changed the start date to September 2nd because that is when you'll be meeting your advisory students. After you change the date, we need to change the times to be 8 to 3:30, which is the standard school day, giving additional time at the end if you want to meet students after the school day ends. Once you've changed your start date and your times from 8 to 3:30, click on Repeat Session. And now check Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, which means this session will repeat every weekday until we tell it to stop. However, the session will only be open between 8 a.m. and 3:30 p.m. This is a change from last year when we had no end, which meant students could access the session at any time during the day, at 3 in the morning or during the school day. If they were to click on their link outside of 8 to 3:30, they would get an error message. The next step is to change the drop down here where it says End After Occurrences, change it to End on Date. Now we don't know when distance learning is going to end, so we are suggesting that you change it to be the last day of school. Once we go back to face-to-face learning, you can always delete this session, but change it to be the day after the last day of school. So the last day of school is on June 11th. We're going to have it end on June 12th. For early entry, you can decide how early you want to be able to get into your own session. So if you want to be able to get into your own session at 7 a.m., you can change that to be 60 minutes beforehand. But be aware that with this, it does also block you from you accessing it early as well. Once you've done all this, click Save. The next step are the session settings. These session settings are the same as what we had last year. We want to anonymize chat messages. This only means that you will not be able to see the names within the recordings. As you're teaching, you'll still be able to see who is saying what within the chat boxes, but with the recordings, you will not be able to see the names. Check Show Profile Picture for Moderator Only. And here's the very important part. All of these right here, you need to uncheck. These need to be unchecked because we don't want students to show up into your session when you're not there and be able to have audio, video, or post chat messages or draw on the whiteboard when you're not in the room. Even though we have this set up from 8 to 3:30, we don't want to give students any opportunity to be in your Blackboard Collaborate session unattended and still be able to use these features. So it's very important that you uncheck all of these. Additionally, we are asking that you uncheck session telephony because with this you cannot actually mute a telephone. Finally, check participants can chat privately only with moderators and the profanity filter. Click Save and then scroll up here until you see the invitations. For invitations, you will click on the plus button to invite attendee. For this, you will be copying and pasting your student roster from SIS. So you'll take your student's name in, and then their email address. Remember, you will be including their @fcpsschools.net email address. Make sure your student is a participant. You don't want to give them any additional abilities. You can always elevate them to a presenter during class, but make sure they're only a participant as a default. Click Add to Session. You will do this for all of your students. Unfortunately, there is no bulk add possible. We are also recommending that you add your administrator and your department chair. For your administrator, you can add their @fcps.edu email address. And then you can also change their role to be a moderator. We are requesting that you add your administrator and your department chair to your session in the event that you are unable to log in during class and you need to have another adult in there as a moderator. Once you've added all of your students, click Save to send the invitations to all the participants that you've added. You can look at your recurring session. You'll first notice that this looks different than the ongoing sessions you might have set up in the past. This is a folder and it also has a drop-down. So if I click on the drop-down, it will show the occurrences. It does take a couple seconds for it to load all of them. And you can see that we have recurring 9/2/20 and it ends on 6/11/21. But the individual sessions right here show that it starts on 9/2/20 at 8 a.m. and ends 9/2/20 at 3:30 p.m. And you could scroll down all the way to the very end to see how it goes from 6/11/21 at 8 a.m. to 6/11/21 at 3:30 p.m. Within each of these sessions, you can view your attendance reports, and you can also edit the individual occurrence. There might be times when you want to edit the individual occurrence, or you might want to delete them. You can do that if there's a holiday, for example, by going into Delete Occurrence, and this will delete this specific occurrence. So if, for example, on September 7th, if that's a holiday, which it is, it's Monday, we can delete that occurrence, and it will delete the session occurrence, not the entire session, just that day permanently. So you'll see that we have successfully deleted the occurrence on 9/7/2020. If you have any questions regarding this, please contact either Sarah Olson or Karen Frank for additional assistance.